Hey guys, thank you so much for being here and joining me as always. Tuesday nights, here we are. So what is this, the last week of August? Yeah, fourth week of August. My daughter starts school tomorrow. Anybody else that has kids, if your child hasn't started school yet, they probably will be pretty soon, so good luck to them. That was one of my first little correlations or whatnot to like seasons and just kind of how we translate and how we just kind of roll through the year and roll through life, was looking at the start of Virgo season and kind of correlating that, at least here in the United States where I live, correlating the beginning of like the school year and the start of all of that with Virgo season. It seemed like just really, really fitting for me. So that was one of my first little things that kind of clicked together. It was like, oh, there's something here. Imagine that. Astrology works. So this week, our intention: in adversity and peace, intuition guides me. In adversity and peace, intuition guides me. So, this is the first time you've heard the intention. Go ahead and think about it for just a moment. See what comes up with that for you. Intention is always posted on Sundays. You can find it on the Meditative Astrology website. You can find it on Meditative Astrology Facebook page, Instagram page, and on the YouTube page. So wherever you're watching this from, whether you're tuning in from Facebook or on YouTube, if you like, follow, subscribe on whatever your social media platform of choice is, or all of them, just to kind of help out a little bit, you can get notifications for those intentions. I see that YouTube is doing that now. So if you go to the community tab of the Meditative Astrology YouTube channel, there's a place where you can make posts just like on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is that you use. So if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, then you will start to get notifications for the posts that are on there. So then you don't even have to go look for it. It'll just come to you. So I like to give you a little bit of time to sit with the intention yourself before we meet here, just so you can kind of see what comes up with it. See what those first things that come to mind. You've heard me say this over and over, that those first couple things that come to mind, your first thoughts and feelings and reactions, that's you. That's your inner self, your higher self, your soul, your spirit, whatever you want to call it. That's you talking to you and giving yourself a little tidbit like, hey, this is where it plays out for us. And as always, we look at the energies that are around us, looking at the astrology, looking at the placements of the planets and the aspects, looking at the communications between them, and just the overall symbolic energy that they are representing to us. And then looking at that for the week, we come to an intention that we can all share together. The intention starts out really, really broad. The intention is like an umbrella. It's like an umbrella phrase or an umbrella term. So kind of like how the energies and the representations of the planets are a wide overarching umbrella like theme or archetype that are working on all of us, but that are over all of us and around all of us, but playing out within our lives in very, very different ways, and within different frequencies and different intensities as well. So they all play out within different themes and archetypes and overall branching like umbrella area, but then once we start to kind of focus in on ourselves, it can be very, very different. So same thing with the intention. I like to give you this overall umbrella term to use, and then I want you to feel free to change it up and edit or add words or whatever you need to do to make the intention yours. Totally customizable, and yeah, I encourage you to do that, to do whatever it is that you need to do with it. So this week, in adversity and peace, intuition guides me. You know, it's really easy to, like, when things are going really well and things are peaceful and things are going really, really nicely, to sometimes feel in tune and feel like it's easier to, you know, let your intuition guide you and go with the flow, and, you know, everything's the way it's supposed to be at exactly the right times. And other times when things are not going right, it's like a big old eye roll to all of that, right? Yeah, that's just part of the human experience and the mundane part of it. We get kind of trapped down in it a little bit. So I thought adding both words, adversity and peace, very opposites. I thought that was a nice reminder. Aspects that we're looking at this week. So Mars is sitting in opposition to Neptune. Mars is in Virgo. We've been talking a lot about Leo. We're still going to be talking about Leo, but we're going to start to transition our focus to Virgo, because we're moving into Virgo season here now. So Mars is in the sign of Virgo. It's been there for quite a while. We have talked about that. Right now, and over the last couple days, and like through the rest of this week, Mars is sitting in opposition to Neptune in the sign of Pisces. So this transit, you know, Mars isn't moving super fast right now, so it is a little bit of a longer transit. It's about a week long, and it's in the opposition. So you have that that tug and pull that we've talked about before. So I feel like with an opposition, it gives a little more, there's a little wider variety of possibilities and options. So when we're looking at Neptune, when we're looking at the planet of Neptune, it can represent a very distinct connection, but it can also represent a pretty distinct and pretty loose, like dissolving and dissolution of things. So Neptune can connect us to the spirit realm. It can connect us to divinity, connect us to, often related to like the dream state. Those subtle connections that connect you to spirit, to source, to God, to the creator, to our loved ones that are on the other side. All of those subconscious knowing type things, those are Neptune topics. And Neptune brings us can bring us a little bit closer to that spiritual realm. But in order to do that, it has to kind of disconnect us from the physical realm a little bit, right? So that's a positive aspect of Neptune, is being intuitively connected. But then maybe like a shadow side, or a little more difficult thing is with Neptune can be like an erratic dissolution. So it can be separating from something that we really, really should be connected to. Mars sitting in opposition. Mars, the planet of action, the planet of drive and motivation, the aggressor, right? The god of war. Not always quite that serious, but definitely a drive and a motivation, definitely a punch, definitely a kind of like that, you know, all right, move, go. Go is the word I like to put with Mars. So Mars is saying go to Neptune. So go connect, or go disconnect, go express, go, you know, go separate yourself from something, go connect yourself to something. Neptune is very, very wishy-washy. It's almost hard to describe, because it's that in-between state here. So you kind of see where there could be lots of different possibilities with this. Mars could be saying to Neptune, you're going to go connect to your spirituality. You're going to connect to your intuition, and to that knowing, to that gut feeling within you, and to just that that depth within your body, within your soul, that that inner knowing. Or Mars could say, you're going to go connect with something that pulls you away from the physical realm, but maybe not in such a great way. Sometimes, a lot of times with Neptune, we can have addictions and destructive behaviors, delusional behaviors. I know this is starting to sound like really kind of grim, but these are all possibilities with Mars and Neptune. But here, looking at the positive side, the intuitive guidance, okay? There's definitely a possibility within this week for like difficulty expressing emotions. It's this very much like, it's very much an in-between state. And that can play out in a lot of different ways. It can be like some confusion, it can be like difficulty remembering, but that's why with the intention this week, in adversity and peace, when things are good and bad, let's remember that our intuition is there to guide us, and our guidance comes from within. Venus squaring Jupiter, we talked about this earlier in the summer, but we have it coming back around. So we've talked all about Venus being in retrograde, going through Leo, back and forth. So now Venus is sitting at, I think, about 13 degrees, 14 degrees. I think we're right at 13 degrees of Leo right now. So now Venus is coming back into the square with Jupiter in the sign of Taurus. That she came into the square the first time, I think it was early June. So she hit this square with Jupiter, moved forward, got really, really close to the sun, spent time with rebirth, the rebirthing process, and going into the underworld, rising up from the underworld. We've talked about all of this in the last few weeks, so I'm not elaborating super strong on this. While she was in this really, let's say, like, difficult part of the retrograde, maybe, she was in interaction with Uranus, okay? Now that she's kind of pulling away from that, Venus is now visible in the morning. If you look just before sunrise, you can see Venus as the morning star now. So Venus has now just separated. You can start to see it about 10 degrees, but 15 degree separation is where I consider Venus to really be out of the beams of the sun and out of the grips of the sun. So there's an empowering moment for Venus when it comes into conjunction with the sun. Super quick version of this. If you want to go back to the previous weeks, we've talked about this a lot further. If this is the first time you've joined us, comes into that conjunction, and then as she starts to pull away from the sun, and she's within that like 0 to 15 degree range of the sun, Venus doesn't have a whole lot of her own power. She's a little bit overwashed by the sun and a little overtaken by its energy. When she's right in the middle, right in the conjunction, is very, very empowering, but outside of that, it can be a little disorienting for Venus. So Venus has now moved out of that range, and as soon as she comes out of that 15 degree range, that under the beams range, she comes into contact with Jupiter, the great benefic. So you have the two benefics coming into contact with each other. It's a square. We've talked a lot about Leo and Taurus lately. So there is some tension, and the squares, we talk about them being Mars-like, right? So it's that go word, it's that move, it's take action, do something. And I think with Venus coming into contact with Jupiter, just as she's coming out of the beams of the sun, just as she's starting to get her own bearings and step onto her own feet, she comes into contact with Jupiter, the planet of wisdom and abundance and knowledge, the planet of learning and wisdom. It's like as soon as she steps out of this blinding place, she instantly has all of this knowledge and all of this wealth and all of this positivity coming to her. Like, you've done all of this work, you've come a really long way, and you've been through some shit. So now here's your reward. Here is the knowledge and the information and the wealth that you need, the abundance and the tools to move forward. So that feels really, really positive. With Venus, Venus is moving really, really slow at the moment. She's going to be stationing at 12 degrees, I think. I believe 12 degrees of Leo, 11 degrees. I should have these memorized by now because I've talked about it so much. So she's only a few degrees away from her stationing point. So she's moving very, very slowly. So she's going to stay in this aspect with Jupiter for quite a while. This is going to be something you're working with for a few weeks. So it's something we're coming into, but I'm wondering if the Mars-Neptune thing isn't kind of like overpowering and overshadowing the thing right now. This whole Mars-Neptune dynamic is very, can be very disorienting and almost a little bit disheartening. Mars-Neptune can also, so if Mars is energy and drive and motivation, if it comes into contact with Neptune, you can have the dissolution of the drive and the motivation. So you can have lethargy, you can have up and down levels of energy, you can have depression and loss of motivation, you know, just kind of the general like feeling sorry for yourself type of thing. Yeah, so I think with all of this going on, I think it's just a really good week it felt like a week for a reminder. Intuition guides me always, in peace and adversity, within the Jupiter-Venus dynamic and within the Mars-Neptune dynamic. Both of them, you know, both of them have positives and negatives. Venus-Jupiter could be very much like grandiose visions and grandiose desires and whatnot. So overindulgence, totally a possibility. It's been a possibility for several weeks now, a couple months actually. We've been talking about that a lot. And then lastly, we have the Sun transitioning into Virgo, which is going to bring more energy, more power, especially that solar power to the sign of Virgo where Mars is. So we're in that transition period right now. Within the next several hours, the Sun will be moving into the sign of Virgo. And Mercury, which has already been in the sign of Virgo, it's ahead of the Sun, is stationing for retrograde. So Mercury retrograde in the sign of Virgo has a little bit of agency, has a little bit of ability and a little bit of desire to figure things out and maybe fix and compartmentalize things. So Venus is in its home sign in Virgo. Mercury, did I say Venus? I'm talking about Mercury right now. Mercury is ruled by Virgo. And so it's in its home sign, and then as well as being in its home, there's what's also called a planet's exaltation. So it's like another place that the planet feels really comfortable. Well, Virgo happens to be Mercury's home, its domicile, and its exaltation. So it has like extra comfort in the sign of Virgo. So I know most people but most of the time when we talk about Mercury retrograde, we talk about things going wonky, going haywire, technology issues, communication issues, tools and resources, things like that. All very much a possibility, but I'm hoping with Mercury being in the sign of Virgo, those things that pop up, we're able to kind of compartmentalize them and we're able to fix them a little bit. So I think I'm hoping that this and thinking that this Mercury retrograde isn't going to be the worst retrograde ever. Although with that being said, if you have planets in the sign of Virgo, I think Mercury is stationing at 21 degrees. So if you have any planets from 0 to 21 degrees of Virgo, those are going to be passed by a couple times. They've already been passed by once, and especially anything in that like 20 degree range, Mercury's sitting there for a minute. So those things, especially like people that have like let's say like a natal Virgo Mercury, might be a little extra affected there. So just kind of keep that in mind. This is where it all is. It's all kind of tailored to you in your own life, in your own chart, in your own path. So, stack up of energy in Virgo, Mars, Mercury, and the Sun. So by By sign, all three of those planets, not by degree it's only Mars, but by sign, all three of those planets are now in opposition to Neptune. So it really kind of amps up this Mars-Neptune thing that we have going on. So that's why this week we're giving ourselves a nice little reminder that in adversity and peace, intuition guides me. In adversity and peace, intuition guides me. So when things are going well and when things are not going well, when things change quickly and kind of catch us off guard, we move with it and we flow with it. I have said over and over, good and bad are relative terms. That's probably the hill I will die on, because I really think it's all dependent on what you have going on at that very moment. And you know, till you've walked a mile in somebody else's shoes, who am I to say whether something is good or bad or not? So, that's that. So, we will bring forward our intentional candle, and I don't have any crystals out here yet, which is a little bit unusual, but we have Hermes joining us. We have Mercury with us today. I figure since Mercury is going retrograde, why not bring in the messenger god? Why not bring in Hermes himself? You know, the astrology now is attributed to Uranus, and I definitely agree with that. But astrology was considered the science of Hermes. Traditions come from Hermes Trismegistus, and it's the messenger of the god. It's the, you know, astrology is the messages in the stars and the guidance in the stars, and that's Hermes. So thank you for that. So go ahead and get yourself comfortable if you haven't already. I know that was a little long-winded, so if you need to move around a little bit, go ahead and do so. And that we will light our intentional candle. And as we do, we recite our intention. In peace and adversity, intuition guides me. Or in adversity and peace, intuition guides me. So I don't know if you could see the flame and what happened with the candle there. Probably not, but when I lit the candle, I was a little concerned for just a moment, because I've talked about these candles a lot. They're really super great and super awesome. I get them off of Etsy. They have white sage oil in them, and they burn really well. But this time, when I lit it, the flame kind of went all the way down to the bottom, and it kind of stuttered for a minute, and then it puffed back up. And that kind of made me think of the Mars-Neptune thing a little bit, because it's that fluctuation. Mars and Neptune, Neptune makes Mars much more changeable than it normally is. Mars is in Virgo, so it's grounded, it's earthly, very solid and firm, but it's opposing a watery Neptune right now. It's interacting and staring down Neptune in the sign of Pisces, which is, by virtue and by location, complete opposites. Yeah, thought that was interesting. So, enough rambling, enough talking. Sorry I was a little long-winded today. In adversity and peace, intuition guides me. So, nice comfortable seat, find a nice comfortable position. And if you're ready to close your eyes, go ahead and do so. If you're not quite ready to close your eyes because you've been listening to me ramble or you have your own energy going on, just start to soften your gaze a little bit. And start to relax into your body. Start to slide into your body, into your physical being. And start to make space for a little recognition of where you are right now. Maybe you are completely relaxed. Maybe not. Maybe your body is a comfortable place to be in right now. And then again, maybe not so much. Always taking just a moment to recognize the level of energy that you arrived here with. Taking a moment to make note of your body and the condition that it's in. Are you holding tension anywhere? Are your shoulders relaxed? Is your back straight or slouched? Within your own limitations, are you able to sit up a little bit straighter, make a little bit more space? I want you to now take your focus to your breath. I want you to start to deepen the inhale and the exhale, letting your mind and your body be your guide as to exactly what that breath looks like. My only request is that you aim for long, deep breaths. Perhaps you can try to make each breath a little bit longer than the one before it. Let your intuition be your guide. Let your mind and your body be your guide. As you continue to breathe in and out, feel your breath start to become nice and fluid and even. Breathing in, filling your lungs with beautiful, wonderful energy. Breathing out, releasing byproducts and waste of your body, as well as any stress and tension that is holding you back. Breathing in and out. Once again, breathing in and exhale. Continue to ride that breath like a wave, riding up as you inhale and riding down as you exhale. So you reach the bottom of the exhale in your own time. Flow right back into the next inhale. And release. Breathing in this moment, breathing in the love and the support that is surrounding you. And on the exhale, releasing everything but your breath. It's the only thing that you're focusing on right now, is the here and the now. Continuing your breaths in and out. Connecting your mind to your physical body. Focusing solely on your own being. Breathing in and out. Feeling the exchange of energy as you bring in and as you release. Moving your air, feeling your breath going up and down. Action. This is Mars. The god of war, the motivator, the aggressor, the one that pushes us to move forward. Just as your breath pushes you to move forward, gently. And on each breath, each inhale and exhale, you feel a connection to your body, connection to your heart and to your soul. Neptune at its finest. Your connection to spirit world, to infinite knowledge, and the vessel, the gateway, is yourself. things are hard and difficult, and when things are easy and wonderful. In both scenarios, you always have your breath with you. As long as you are alive, as long as you are on this human path for this lifetime, you have your breath with you. And as long as you have your breath, you have your connection to Source, to Divinity, to all that is. Therefore, your intuitive guidance is always available to you, because it is always within you as a part of you. Continuing to breathe in and out. You feel your body slowly start to move. And you notice that you are laying on your back, floating gently down a stream. The stream does not move too quickly or too slowly. It pulls you along. It's maybe a little startling at first, but then you relax and you succumb to the tide and to the current that you are in. And you feel the stream taking you away, pulling you right along its path with it. And the more relaxed and the more calm you become, the smoother the ride feels. The less you are concerned about if there's a rock or a stump or another being in the way, the faster you move down the stream. Floating peacefully, bobbing and weaving back and forth, feeling a nice breeze on your face. You're totally relaxed. Totally, completely relaxed. It takes a moment before you notice that you are no longer moving. You are up against a big, large rock. floated over to it ever so gently. You almost didn't notice it was there. But this big, beautiful rock in front of you calls to you. So you get up out of the stream and make your way onto the land, onto the top of this big, enormous rock. And you look up and you feel the sun shining down upon you. Warming your damp skin, caring for you and protecting you. Loving you and providing for you. In adversity and peace, intuition guides me. At all times, even when we forget, we come back to our breath, and we come back to our guidance. When things are easy and when things are difficult. When the current is fast, the current is slow. When the tide is high and the tide is low. When the ride is bumpy and when the ride is smooth. Before closing this meditation, I bring my palms together, bring them to my heart space, encouraging you to do so if it feels right. If not, that's okay. But bringing my palms together, plugging them right into my chest, right into the heart space, where that connection to source, that connection to your intuition lives. Your connection to all of the answers. And with Venus spinning backwards in retrograde, Mercury spinning back in retrograde, going within, finding that voice and finding that intuition. It's very important. And just in case Mars and Neptune have you questioning it. You are worth it. Your actions are worth it. If you are guided by your intuition and your heart, then no time, energy, and resources are wasted. And as you release your palms, bringing them a little ways away from each other, you can still feel the energy connecting the two, your own energy. In adversity and peace, my intuition guides me. Take time for your connection to Spirit, your connection to Source this week. Something that we always need, but I feel like the need and the ability are both extra there. As always, thank you so much for joining me. That was absolutely wonderful. If you tuned in a little late and you missed the first part, that's where we go over the astrology that leads into the meditation. And as always, look next Sunday for next week's intention. So every Sunday the intention's released. You can find that on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Meditative Astrology website. That is your hub for all things meditative astrology. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing in this space and this energy with me this week. Excuse me. Like I said in the beginning, the oppositions, oppositions are like magnets. You turn them one way and they're going to polarize each other and they're going to pull away from each other. You turn them the other way and they're going to attract and they're going to pull together. So I think bringing in this intention of connecting to our intuition and letting our intuition guide us, and keeping that up at all times when it's easy and when it's hard, I feel like that's a really good reminder this week. So I hope you have a great week. I hope I have a great week. I hope we all have a great week. And I will see you here again next Tuesday. Look for the intention on Sunday. And if you have anything else in the meantime, feel free to reach out. Thank you for those of you leaving nice comments. The thank yous. I thank you for saying thank you. All right. Have a great night and great day, everybody. And I will see you next week. Thank you again so much. Bye now.